support here tonight, online and in person, is most welcome. So thank you very much. My name is Murrow McDonough. I'm the CEO of Mountaineering Ireland. I'm going to take you through some housekeeping points on how the schedule for the AGM will work, and then confirming the voting delegates present to ensure we have a valid quorum for the AGM before handing over to the Chair of the Board of Directors, David Pollard, to commence the AGM proper. 2021 has been another challenging year in our recent history, and I'm certain that there is not one delegate attending tonight who has not been impacted by COVID-19 in some shape or form. This evening is our AGM. This is our business function for the company. However, on the 7th of June, we'll be hosting our members forum, and this will be an online event where it's more suitable to address questions around our activities, around our sports, around our new strategic plan, which we're all very excited about. So I look forward to seeing you all again in just over 4 weeks' time. This AGM is set up as a joint online and in-person meeting, whereby all delegates can see each other present on screen. Present on screen and here in Irish Sport HQ. All delegates have been issued a Zoom link to the AGM, and since 6:45 p.m. they have been confirmed in attendance by us allowing each delegate move from the waiting room into the AGM. This will eliminate the need for a physical roll call. We have a total of 57 voting members online and 8 in person. So 65 is the total members in total. Now I think we're going to have 5 people present in person, and 60 online is the latest number I've been given. Please be patient with us during this type of event, as we require all technology to go according to plan. But sometimes there are mishaps. Between delegates and others attendees, there are approximately 75 people attending the meeting. The only people who will not have their microphones muted are those who are speaking. Therefore, if you are asking a question and your microphone is live, please ensure there is no background noise. Once we confirm the quorum for the AGM, the meeting will be locked, and only those eligible and present will be able to cast a vote or poll. At the end of the meeting, we'll conduct a report to confirm the numbers of those present for the AGM. We will move to the next slide, where I'll discuss the schedule for the AGM and how it works. Thank you. So the schedule of the AGM and how it works. The AGM will be recorded and streamed live on the Mountaineering Ireland YouTube channel. Please take responsibility for what you do and say. The AGM is hosted in person at head office in Irish Sport HQ and at the National Sports Campus, Blanchstown, Dublin 15, and live online via Zoom. The panel consists of the following members: the Chair of the Board of Directors, David Pollard; board members, Noel Caffrey, who's Vice Chair, Colette Mahan, Grania McLaughlin, Dave Aiken, Ian Lawler, and Alistair Wilson, and myself as CEO. Alistair, Ian, and Noel are joining online. The AGM is being supported by Ruth Whelan as the host and Siobhan Quinn as a facilitator, which is required when using Zoom. Reports will be taken as read. Once a quorum is confirmed, the AGM will be locked to ensure that only those present and accounted at the AGM can actually vote. And just the next slide, please. How question and answers will work. As clubs and individual members have pre-submitted AGM questions in advance, those relating to the AGM will only be discussed tonight. Those that were not relevant to the AGM will be addressed at a members forum taking place on Tuesday, 7th of June on Zoom. If delegates wish to raise a question during the AGM, please click the raise hand function located on the reaction tab at the bottom of your screen. Your question will be brought to the attention of the presenter as we go through the AGM slides. Alternatively, you can type your question into the chat function of the panel. Those present in person can also raise their hands. Only AGM agenda related questions will be discussed tonight. How voting or polling will work. Instead of having a traditional proposer and seconder at the AGM, tonight we will ask delegates to vote to approve each item. For each vote, you will, as delegate attending online, will have the choice to make by clicking either yes, no, or abstain. Please be careful when voting, as we have only one vote per item, and the aim is for full accuracy. Can we go to the next slide, please, Ruth? There is a limit of 60 seconds for delegates to cast each vote. Those present in person can raise their green or red voting cards or abstain from the vote. Once all votes have been cast, the results will be presented within a few seconds for all delegates to see. A tally of in-person votes will also be collated to the online vote results to account for the overall votes cast. This is to provide full transparency on votes cast in real time. We will now hold a test vote to help familiarize delegates of this process. Thanks, Ruth. And those present, you don't need to raise your cards. This is for the purpose of online. Okay, so we have 60 seconds for all delegates online to do a test vote here. So please feel free to click on yes, no, or abstain. So the votes we see in percentage terms, 84% said yes, 4% said no, and abstain 11%. Thanks very much. Ruth, can we go to the next slide, please? So for the delegates registration tonight, we have 65 in total. That represents 32 clubs being represented and 13 individual members. So we have 13 individual members and 52 club members present for voting tonight, so a total of 65, which is a very high turnout for Mountaineering Ireland. It's great to see. Thanks, Ruth. Next slide. I now pass you over to David Pollard, Chair of the Board of Directors of Mountaineering Ireland, to commence the AGM proper.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I must say it's great to be almost back to a real AGM. It seems a little bit more real than all of us on Zoom. So, okay, so just to start off, the first item then is we need to adopt standing orders. So, Maura, would you, or whoever's controlling the route, sorry, wherever you are, would you mind putting up standing orders, maybe just so we can come back to that. So, so we need I think we need a formal vote on this. So, I'm not proposing to read them out. I think if you maybe give minutes to read them, and we can maybe ask you to vote to.
So just in person in a show of hands, yes, no, or abstain for standing orders.
Is that just delegates now?
Just delegates, yeah. Just voting delegates. So your hands, cards up high, please. Okay, so 4. Those against? 5 for, okay. Thank you. Okay, so 97% plus 5 here. Okay, so that's been passed.
Lovely. Okay, thanks for that. Okay, so the second item then on our agenda tonight is the adoption of the minutes from last year. And again, we're not proposing to read those out. We're taking those as read. So do we need a formal proposal?
No, proposal vote again. Yep.
So yeah. Sorry, if there's anybody wants to, if anybody has a question or wants to, we're quite happy to take those. But we're okay. I don't think we have any questions, so maybe we just go straight to the vote then.
And just those present for those voting yes for the minutes. So 1 green card, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And we have, yeah, so 80% yes and 20% abstain. Okay. So just the next item then is the the chairperson's address. Now I've circulated that in advance. I don't propose to read it out verbatim, but I may just make a few comments around it. Obviously we were affected last year by COVID again, where while we got I think back to I think normal levels of activity on the hills, there were still many organised events that were cancelled throughout the year. We again didn't have our autumn gathering last year, which I think is a big loss for the organisation. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to that this year. And I suppose it is tonight is hopefully the start of the return to normal, that we actually have people physically here. So it's great to see that. Last year obviously was a very special year for Mountaineering Ireland. It was the 50th anniversary since the formation of the Federation of Mountaineering Clubs of Ireland back in 71. And obviously we didn't get to celebrate that in the way we would have liked. We had great plans around the gatherings, but obviously they didn't happen. We did produce I think a really nice celebratory edition of the Mountain Log, which is certainly I got a great amount of fun looking at photographs of some people from a long time ago. But I think it's something that was at least that we have that to keep. A key, I suppose, task for us last year was the development of the next strategic plan. Huge amount of effort, consultation went into that. We set up a joint staff board team to coordinate it. We got a huge amount of input from members and through our committees. So I think we're very proud of the result of that. It was formally adopted, or was formally launched last week, but I think we're still waiting for it to be the final designed version. And as soon as we have that, it'll go up on the website. And I really encourage people to have a look at that. I think it is really, I think sets out very clearly our ambition really to become the go-to organisation for hill walkers and climbers and mountaineers on the island of Ireland. And another, I suppose, important development, I think, really for our sport was that sport climbing made its debut at the Olympics last year. I think that's really, really positive. It's really creates opportunities, I suppose, funding opportunities, but also raises the profile of climbing and hopefully will increase the participation rate. So I think that's a really positive development, and it's really, I suppose, a matter for us now to make the most of that, to capitalize on that as we move forward. Another point I'd like to mention really was our involvement in the development of the National Outdoor Recreation Strategy. This was I suppose it's the Irish equivalent of the Countryside Council, and the idea was really to bring together various stakeholders with an interest in, or with a stake in, the management of our upland spaces. We were very ably represented that by Helen, and I think it's a real recognition of the role of the work that Helen has been doing for so many years, that really it was so obvious that Mountaineering Ireland needed to be involved in that process. And I think it really creates a real opportunity to address some of the tricky issues around access that we've been grappling for years. I'm not saying it'll answer all the questions or provide all of the solutions, but I think it really moves us forward. I'm sorry, I would encourage then you to have a look. There's the Department of Rural and Community Affairs has recently published a draft of the document for consultation. You can get the link to it from the Mountaineering Ireland website, and really would encourage people to have a look at that. An initiative we took, we were lucky, I suppose, to get funding from Sport Ireland to help us with our return to normal activity, and we ran last year a series of training events for club leaders, which were really well attended and I think really well appreciated. So that was really a really useful exercise, and it's probably something we need to carry forward and see how we can do that kind of thing again. I suppose a challenge for us, another challenge for us, I think, going forward is over the last couple of 2 years, we've seen a huge number of people come new to the mountains, and many of those are people who maybe didn't have a huge amount of the right equipment or the knowledge or experience. So I think it's a real challenge for us as an organisation. I think there's an expectation from Sport Ireland on governing bodies that they encourage and support safe participation in their sports generally, not just among their own members. So I think it's an opportunity for us, I guess, to grow our membership, but it's also, I think, a challenge for us that we'll, and I suppose to recognise in particular the Happy Hiking initiative of the Hill Walking Club, which I think is really an important development. Just, I suppose, like to mention, just in terms of membership, obviously we took a hit during the pandemic, particularly in the first year of the pandemic. Particularly the club membership, many of the club members, the club membership generally fell off. Not hugely, not as badly as we had feared, but there was, I suppose, we had been seeing a steady year-on-year growth up to that point, and we certainly saw a decline but it's good to see the numbers last year were back up to I suppose the 2019 or 2019 numbers, and that's a real plus. So hopefully that's the start of increased membership going forward. Just finally, almost finally, I'd just like to mention the Banff Award for the best guidebook, or for the Banff Guidebook Award to Mountaineering Ireland for Irish Peaks. Obviously there was a core team of Helen, Alan and Margaret that really drove that, but it wasn't just those three. There was a huge community effort. There was people, members the length and breadth of the country participated, fantastic photographs and wrote up routes, and so I think it was a real community effort, and I think a real testament to the value of Mountaineering Ireland, and it was a real demonstration of Mountaineering Ireland at its best. So just finally for me then, I obviously like to take the opportunity to thank the staff team in particular, my board colleagues and volunteers across all our committees and clubs for your commitment, dedication and support throughout the year. So that's all I was going to say. Okay, so the next agenda item then was the election to full membership of aspirant clubs. So Ruth, you're on again.
Yeah, we have the four there.
Yeah. So these are all clubs that have gone through the full process. We're happy they meet. Certainly, from the board perspective, we're happy that they meet all of the requirements, and we'd like to formally vote then to welcome 4 new clubs into the Mountaineering Ireland family.
So the show of hands for those present to accept these 4 clubs. Thank you.
%81 have voted online. We're just waiting a few more seconds just to give people an opportunity.
Thanks. The expectations, this is killing.
We're gone over the 60 seconds there, so I'll just launch the results as they are.
Thanks. Super. So we have 100%, which is, I say, it's great to see. I mean, I know there are a number of new clubs. There'll be an even bigger number next year, because we had quite a number of new clubs starting the process this year, and it's really great to see that. Okay, so Nora, it's back to you for the company secretary.
Thanks very much, David. Ru, can we go to the next slide, please? So for the company secretary report, I will just read out the following. The last annual general meeting was held on the 29th of March 21, hosted from Mountaineering Ireland's head office, Irish Sport HQ, National Sports Campus, Blanchardstown, Dublin 15, via Zoom online. There were 8 meetings of the board held during 2021. We have continued to review our governance policies in the past 12 months and are currently updating and improving some of our processes and structures to reflect best practice in governance. All legal and procedural requirements have been followed, including reporting and submissions to the company's registration office. Mountaineering Ireland is a company limited by a guarantee and is a sporting organisation supported by both Sport Ireland and Sport Northern Ireland. All the directors are extremely focused and clear about their duties to Mountaineering Ireland. The board of directors act at all times in the best interests and to the best of their capability with regard to Mountaineering Ireland organisation, its members and its stakeholders. Thank you.
I have, if any questions, I'm not happy to take those, or Ruth, there's nothing coming in on the chat, is there? So, okay, so we can
No.
Go for the vote.
So we go straight to the, so again we're looking for approval.
Just a show of hands, those in favour of the company report. Thank you. Okay. 7-2. Okay, thank you, Ruth, very much. David.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so the next item on the agenda then is the approval of the financial statements for 2021. Now, I think we have Alan McLean who's from Whiteside Cullen, our auditors, is I think on the call.
He's present online, yes, as a support.
Okay, so again, if there are questions, so Maura, maybe I'll hand over to you, maybe just to take.
Thanks, David. Bruce, let's go to the next slide, please. So the following 3 slides are just a summary of our financial accounts for 2021. Our income for the year was 1179270. Our expenditure was 1167878, which resulted in a net surplus at the year end of 11392 as of the 31st December 2021. So for a second year in a row, we've had a level of surplus to the organisation. And COVID will take probably another year to come through our system in terms of funding for core or ring fence funding programs. So 21, 22 and 23. Our core funding numbers for 2021, Sport Ireland core funding amounted to 235,000 and a women's sport programme amounted to 40,000. Sport Ireland and Healthy Ireland funding for Get Ireland Walking Initiative or programme amounted to a total of 300,000. That came from 3 funding streams. Sport Inclusion Grant for our Get Climbing programme amounted to €50,000 for the year, and Sport Northern Ireland funding amounted to, in pounds, 48,500 per annum. This fund is specifically for youth engagement and club development initiatives in Northern Ireland. So they're our main, I suppose, annualised funding streams, which are standardised in our accounts every year in our programmes. Is there any questions on those figures?
Maybe just a comment, or that should be recognised that still a vast amount of money coming into Mountaineering Ireland is from the membership, and it's still a very strong membership organisation.
Yeah. Vince, that's a very relevant point, and David mentioned our membership number. I'm pleased to say that last week our membership grew for the first time over 15,000 members. So we're delighted to see that figure, and it's a huge mark and statement for us moving forward as well. But you're right, a huge percentage of our income comes from our membership figure as well. Thank you. Ruth, the next slide, please. So from some Finance, Audit and Risk Committee report point of view, during 2021, Mountaineering Ireland has continued to operate appropriate financial processes. This included Finance, Audit and Risk Committee oversight of financial operations and risk, meet the financial reporting requirements of our key funders, budgets in place for all programs, improving revenue and cost income streams to ensure financial stability is maintained through initiatives such as Irish Peaks project, which is in its second year in 2021. Special thanks to the FAR committee members, to the board members, to our accountants, IFT, that's John Slevin and Mark Talon, and to Whiteside and Cullen, our auditors, that's to Luke Reid and to Alan McLean, who's joining us online tonight as well. It's a huge team effort to manage our accounts and our finances on an annual basis, and I'm greatly appreciative of the support we receive from all those groups of people. The next slide, please, Ruth. So this slide represents an overview of supplementary information of our accounts from an income and expenditure point of view. This is a copy of what was circulated in our AGM packs circulated just over 3 weeks ago as well. So it itemizes all our main income streams and our expenditure streams and shows our net surplus figure at end of year for 11,392. I'm not going to go down through them line by line, but if there's any questions or queries on any of those figures, I do appreciate they're quite hard to see, but they were on our website for the last 3 weeks as well. But if anyone has any questions or queries, or if there's anything coming through in the chat function, Ruth, I'm happy to answer them.
No raised hands as yet. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ruth.
Hi, Vince. Yeah.
Is it possible to get any sort of breakdown on the 57,000 that was spent on it's down as a line item professional fees? Just thought it was pretty high.
Okay. So professional fees, it covered 4 main areas, Vincent. We hired a HR company, a recruitment agency to hire a new staff member, and that cost approximately €11,000. We had a cost for our strategic planning work of approximately €6,000. We had a consultant appointed on behalf of Sport Ireland to help board effectiveness review, which is €1,500. And then IFT, which are we outsourced our financial management service to a third-party IT finance company. That came in at €38,358. So the combined figure there is a figure of 56,997. So that's our professional fees. It's under, I think, 5 headings there for 21. Thanks, Vincent. Ruth, is there any other questions online?
Yes.
There is actually in the chat box there. Can you hear me?
Okay. I just seen about how some of the sports grants were not spent. Well, during 2021, some of our activities were curtailed up until May time because we just didn't physically have the ability to run our programs. So when we look at Get Climbing and some of our women in sport, women altitude, unfortunately, we're not able to deliver them during 2021. I mentioned earlier that COVID-19 will have an impact from 2021, 22, and possibly into 23 as well, until we finally get all our figures washed out from that. But where we have ring fence program funding that was not spent in a particular year, like 21, it gets rolled over into the following year for the same purposes. So through 2020, this year, 22, and if there's any overspend into 23, it'll all be spent for those purposes, for those designated programs. And in that space, we're no different than any other sports NGB that we're given ring fence funding as well. So that applies to programs like our Get Climbing, Women's Sport, Get Ireland Walking, which are and Sport NI as well to a certain extent, which is ring fenced funding initiatives. Ruth, is there any other questions there, please?
Just wonder, could you please restate the level of membership in the reporting year?
For year 2021, the membership number, I think, came in at around 13,933. So that's 13,933 members. I mentioned a figure as reported last week, which was in May 2022, obviously, of just over 15,000 members. So it's grown a little bit. And we record our annualized membership on the 31st of October every year. So that's our total club number and our individual member as of that date of the year, because our new club year starts on the 1st of November annually.
I need just give them a couple more minutes if there are any other questions. Okay, if not, then maybe we go to the vote. So we need a vote again to essentially to approve the I suppose the accounts have already been approved by the board and by our auditors. So sorry, if there's anything, Alan, if you're there, is there anything you want to add, Alan McLean?
I'll just unmute him there 1 second.
Thanks.
Alan, if you can just unmute there.
Sorry, Alan, to put you in the spot like that.
No, he doesn't seem to be unmuting there.
Okay. Can you clarify the insurance costs on a per member basis?
Okay. For our insurance, we don't break it down to an individual member rate. We work with our insurance partners in a competitive market. We project what our membership members will be at the end of the year and what they currently are at the start of the year, and we go to the markets for the best price to continue the same level of cover for our membership. So we don't actually subtract it by the number of members and give a discount there. We don't work on that principle anymore. It's the best value rate we get. So it's normally around €85,000 per annum. In 2020, we got a slight rebate, which meant we paid a total of 66,000 or just over 66,000 for that year because some of our activities were curtailed. And then we paid a full amount again in 21. So it's a competitive marketplace when it comes to our insurance. And we don't give an allocation down per member per cost. I might have missed the second question there. Was
Sorry,
it?
can Ruth click on the chat icon just so we can see a list of questions?
Oh,
to
yeah.
make sure, I think some of them are quite there.
So Alan McLean
Okay.
just said having a technical problem. Nothing to add in relation to.
Okay, thanks, Alan. That's fine. But I think there was one more question there.
There's a question about the cost of mountain log. If you could give some more detail.
Okay. So the mountain log, it's a very highly valued commodity and publication for Mountaineering in Ireland. There is 4 main cost streams for the log, and like everything else in recent years, prices have gone up and paper is the same and print. So we have a process where we get the Irish mountain log printed in a company in Belfast, which represents the best value we can find at currently. So that's one cost. Another cost then is a transportation of the log 4 times a year from Belfast to Dunleary in Dublin to a distribution centre to a company called Sooner Than Later. They wrap it and they issue it through the post. That's how you get it in your letterbox. So they do it domestically, Great Britain, rest of Europe, and then worldwide for members. And then there's a very modest cost for the designer who works on each publication cost as well. So sometimes the costs go up or down in a year, depending on the number of members who request the log and the price of the material as well, particularly ink and paper. So usually it's around 102,000, 105,000 mark per annum, and that's for 15,000 copies 4 times a year.
Can I just maybe add to that? I mean, obviously this is something that I suppose has been raised at the board a number of times over the last year or so, and it is something that we do need to look. We are looking at. I suppose we're conscious that many of our members do greatly value the log, and the feedback we get is very positive. I do think that we need to look at it holistically though, because I think we're probably not exploiting the potential, the sort of revenue stream from advertising through the log that we should be. So I think there's a series of issues that we are looking at, but the intention is to look at it holistically rather than to jump to a particular, let's stop the log. And the options include maybe reducing the number of issues per year or to going completely electronic. There's a full range of options, and I think we'll probably come back when we have. I can't keep this chat. The chats are just popping up. It's hard to. Ruth, can you maybe just show all the chat because they're kind of flashing past us.
Yeah. Can you see that? I think that's from Mura's screen actually. That needs to be adjusted. Okay. To tap up.
There was. Oh yeah.
And just to say, it's a little bit difficult online for some to hear the questions from the floor. If they could be repeated before it's answered. Fine.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first question then was: can you advise why the Climbing Wall grant for Sports Ireland campus? Can you advise why the Climbing Wall grant for Sports Ireland campus was declined?
Okay, can you advise why this one? Okay, as part of our sport application process, we applied for equipment and for a grant for a climbing facility on the campus. We got our feedback from Sport Ireland was directed from the Department of Sport and Tralee, and there was 2 considerations they brought into account for the particular year for 2020 for the year 2021. the department did not want to offer grants for projects that may have needed planning permission or for new builds. That was one part of it. And the second part was that they wanted to focus on equipment only for the current year for 21. That's not to say in 22 or 23 when it opens again, if there'll be other opportunities, but that was some of the feedback I got about the grant application. And but what I will say about this, about having a facility on a sports campus, we are in conversations with Sport Ireland having an indoor climate facility on the campus. We have asked them about what their view is about how to go about it successfully. We have reminded everyone in Sport Ireland about the importance of having a training facility for our athletes. And that's not taken away from the fabulous indoor climbing walls, but we feel that from a high performance point of view, we need to have a structure here in the campus that facilitate our athletes to that level as well. So that's just some of the feedback we got from the from the sports application as well.
On that point, is it? Beyond?
Yeah, so for the sport capital grant, no applications made for climate on campus.
Sorry, can you maybe just repeat a little louder, just for people?
The sport capital grants, no applications made for a climate on campus.
Okay.
Didn't quite get that. If you could repeat it, please.
For the sport capital grants, no application was made for one on campus.
It was for a climate facility. Okay, that's interesting. I was off to view that for our application. There was an application sent to the department for a climate facility on the campus, an indoor climate facility, and we're going to work with Sport Ireland to secure that facility in the future. And that was the feedback we got from Sport Ireland as to why the Department of Sport did not approve the application. I'm happy to have that chat with you, Damien, offline, if that's okay, to clear it up if it's a misunderstanding on my part. But that's from my understanding where things lie with the application process.
Okay. I think the mountain log question we've probably already covered, so I'm not proposing to do that. There's a couple of comments there. Would it be possible to share feedback publicly? I don't know what. Sorry, Una Frawley, do you want to? I'm not sure I understand that. Feedback publicly. What if we?
I think she's referring to the feedback of the grant application.
Okay.
There may be other questions. Just go further up as well.
Okay.
I think one of the staff.
Okay.
Or actually,
Please repeat.
Oh, sorry, because the chair please repeat questions from the floor. Sorry.
So yeah, there may be questions.
So there's some above that. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Sorry, the technology is kind of let me stand there. Okay, so the first, I just read them down through. The first question was, club members are also asking about the spend on the mountain log. It is very expensive. Would this funding be better spent elsewhere? Okay, so I think we've covered that.
That's Alan McLean.
Alan McLean just comment to say that he's no comments on the accounts. He's then there was a question, can you advise why the climbing wall grants for Sports Ireland have declined? I think we've covered that.
We've covered that.
But I suppose just to repeat the point that I think we're as a board, we're very committed to the concept. I think how there's a process. I think there's probably the need to do some more work before we so we are submitting a grant. It's in a grant application. It's in a better place, I think. So I think the board do recognise that, and we're certainly very, there's certainly a lot of commitment to push that and we'll be very happy to take any comments or any suggestions that people may have on how best to move that forward.
Sorry, David, Una is unmuted there now if you want any clarification on the question.
Hi, Una. There was the feedback you were asking for. That was the feedback in relation to the climbing wall, was it?
That is what I was wondering about, and this is kind of echoing several of the other questions that have popped up in the chat, because it's not clear from what's being said whether an application was actually made for the climbing facility already or whether this is an in-process application. I'm just wondering if that can be clarified. And also I was wondering whether if an application was refused, if that feedback can be shared with those of us who are really committed to high performance and developing high performance in Ireland, because it's crucial that we get that right the next time.
Okay.
I think the point is well made, Una. I think if we're going to, I think, and we need to pursue this, but I think we need to do, or probably need to do our homework better before we make. So I think if we'd be very happy maybe to take it up offline, probably Una is probably the better thing rather than getting into the full detail of it. But I'd be quite happy to talk to you about it offline because certainly we are very committed to this, but it's a complicated matter because you're talking about planning permission, you're talking about approval to do it, and it's likely that you're not going to be successful with a grant application until you've actually got those things in place. So it's a complicated piece, and we need to I think look at it in a more in a systematic way. But happy maybe to get back to you on that.
Can I just ask you to clarify though before you move on? So an application was in fact not made. Is that correct?
I'll leave you to answer.
Oh, no, as far as I'm aware, there's two things. Right now, we have started new discussions with Sport Ireland about how to achieve our goal, which is have an indoor climbing facility on the campus here. We're not looking for ownership off the wall. We're just looking for exclusive use of the facility, and we are open for it to be open to public if that needs to be. But we want something that's built for our high performance squads, our national team, and for the climate development squads as well. An application was submitted to Sport Ireland for a facility on the campus, and the feedback we got, I've mentioned already, of why it was rejected. I'm pretty certain it came under Sports Capital, but I will double check that and get back to you on that as well. But a lot of these things, there's a lot of work happening in the campus at the moment. They're talking about phased development. They have a 10-year plan for the campus, albeit 2 years delayed now because of COVID. But a part of that program as well is that they're going to build an Olympic wall for climbing on the campus as well. What we're looking for now in the immediate future is for an indoor climbing facility, primarily focusing on bouldering. So that's the key objective, and working closely with Sport Ireland to deliver that. We're just asking for a bit of direction from Sport Ireland about how to go about it that suits their terms and conditions as well. But to reiterate, we're not looking to own the wall, we're just looking to have exclusive use of it.
Okay, I think we've covered everything else, I think. Okay, if there are no further.
There was just one there, David, clarification on the percentage of memberships which corresponds to different kinds of clubs.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have that?
Is it possible to clarify what percentage of membership corresponds? Well, that's something I don't have at hand right now to Siobhan and Dublin Cliffhangers. It's something that we might incorporate into our annual review, which will be going into the summer edition of Summer Mountain Log. But we have definitely seen a huge surge in our individual members. I don't think we request individual members to tell us are they from a climbing or hill walking or both background or mountaineering background. But we have very clear numbers on what our club membership figures are and what the members of those clubs are as compared to our individual members. So that's data we have, but the activity is a little bit different because a lot of people have multi-activities, not just climbing or hill walking, it's both or all. So it's a difficult one to answer in that one, Siobhan.
Many clubs would have different types of, we would have climbers and walkers, and so it's quite difficult to disentangle. So yeah, I think probably the honest answer is no, we don't have that breakdown.
Okay. Do we need to go down to the rest of these then? Can the mountain?
Yeah, just let's go have a look. Yeah, we can make sure we've captured everything.
There's just a clarification on the spend on staff recruitment as well.
I think we gave that under the question,
right.
under Vincent's. We might repeat that.
Okay. From Jane Carney, training officer. Can you please confirm the spend on the staff recruitment? The company we engaged a services of a recruitment agency to help us in this recruitment of a communications officer. The figure was approximately €11,000. That was €11,000.
think we've covered the next one.
Essential membership. Anne-Marie.
What is the question? What is the balance of individual versus club members, and how has this changed in the last 2 years? That's an interesting question. I don't have the
Okay.
numbers to hand, but you may more. But essentially, what we've seen is we certainly saw a stagnation in club members in the first year of COVID, because many people just didn't in 2020. Many clubs found that their members didn't renew. We have been seeing, I suppose, a steady increase in individual membership over that period. But I don't know how do we have the most recent breakdown for?
Just on that one, Anne-Marie, off the top of my head, from a club membership point of view.
Jane has answered the question. Thanks for that. There's 300.
So we have just over about 3,300 individual members, and the rest are club members then, so about 12,700 plus. So that just comes to over, last week we had 15,022 overall members. So about 3,300 individuals and about 12,700 and a few extra club members. And David is perfectly right as well in what he said. When COVID first happened, when the pandemic first happened back in March 2020, we saw some of our clubs did not affiliate. And the main reasons were is that possibly the age profile was quite mature in those clubs, and they felt that they were going to wait until COVID was completely gone before they re-affiliated. So we lost a number of clubs that way, and a couple of corporate clubs that were involved in large companies decided to hold back on their affiliations as well. But what we are seeing is a number of new clubs coming through. We've 4 now, 4 clubs this year are at the AGM, being approved by the AGM, but on a regular basis, there's lots of new clubs coming on board, and that's a very positive thing to see. But a very positive thing as well is seeing the growth in our individual members, because it was only a short number of years ago, we had about 1,700 individuals. So certain initiatives, particularly last year during our 50th anniversary, where we offered a special rate for membership of just over €15 for new members if they availed of our direct debit services. And we saw, over time, a gradual increase in individual members. And together with the help of the staff team on our social media and our communications, and promoting a lot more information about Mountaineering Ireland, reach to new markets, particularly when we engaged for our first time ever in paid advert campaigns on Google. So we're very excited about the future now that we've got someone who's going to lead us in that side of things, and I've no doubt that our individual member will continue to grow. And the key thing is as well to support the nurture and development guide our clubs as well over the next number of years, and to build the foundations and build on the foundations we have. We have a very strong membership base now of 15,000 members. That's something to be very proud of.
Okay, I'm gonna close it out soon, but the Hillwalkers Club were told prior to Christmas that MI was successful in sports grant application made on behalf of a few clubs. That member of MI staff has since left, and I've heard nothing since. Do we know when the equipment will be purchased for our club and others?
Okay.
Do we know about?
Yes, no, I'm happy to talk to Ruth Murphy from the Hillwalkers Club. We were successful for quite a large figure for sports capital grant. We are working with the Department of Sport right now. We have a couple of things to continue to give them to finish off the process, but the money has been secured and the equipment has been approved from the department. What we hope to do over the next number of months is to push this program forward. We have a new staff member who's going to help lead that project and link in with the Department of Sport in Tralee as well, and we'd hope to have that equipment to our clubs and to our members as soon as possible. But over the next couple of weeks we'll be closing off the application process. The department gave a number of NGBs extra time to get that process completed, and we hope to have that completed towards the end of this month, which is May. So we're going to work hard to get that piece of work completed in the next coming weeks.
Okay, I think that's probably, unless anybody, last chance to ask a question. If you have, maybe just unmute and just put your say in. Okay, so we may just go then, and we haven't taken a vote on that yet, have we?
No.
Okay, so we need to vote then on the financial statements.
So in person, those in yes towards the financial statements, for your green cards to be raised high, please. 4, thank you.
Do you need to do against tomorrow?
Those against? Okay, thank you.
We'll just give the full minute because there's
Yeah.
still about 25%.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruth.
Okay. We'll move on then to the appointment of an auditor for 2022. Ruth, do you want to? I'm sorry.
So I think Mara, is that slide where you're going to?
I think you need to.
Do I need to close this?
You need to close that,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay, no, just before we go to orders, can you go back to the last slide there, Ruth, please? Okay, this is just a supplementary slide about an audit Sport Ireland conducted. So this is an audit conducted by Sport Ireland. The company they hired to do the audit is called COSI Corporation, based in Newry in County Antrim, or County Down. So the update, just for those who are interested in this piece of work we're involved in, it was led by a company called COSI. Mountaineering Ireland were one of the number of NGBs and LSPs selected for audit by Sport Ireland. The COSI audit was commenced in April 21 and was completed in November 21. Audit, that's that audit report, found items that needed attention surrounding policies and the way we operated. Audit presented a list of 16 actions. From the 16 actions, 13 were completed by the end of 21 and in early 22. The 3 remaining actions are at an advanced stage of completion and will be issued to Sport Ireland within the next 2 weeks after the board meeting on the 23rd of May. So we have a board meeting on the 23rd of May, and a couple of decisions have to be made in that board about nominations of board members to other parties, about a new company secretary coming on board, and about an evaluation report as well. So they're the 3 final items that need to be closed off from a mountaineering point of view. We'll submit that then after the 23rd of May to Sport Ireland, and once Sport Ireland will close off the audit themselves once they've reviewed all the actions. So that's the process that led us to where we are with the audit with Sport Ireland. Most NGBs get called for audit within a 7-year period. This is our first time ever being called for audit with Sport Ireland, and I have no doubt when the next 7 years we'll be called for audit again. It's a great learning experience for us, and it's something that we've learned a lot from as well. But that's just to give a general update on the COSI audit from 2021.
Happy to take any questions on that.
There is a question there on the chat box. How long have the auditors been doing the financial statements for Mountaineering Ireland, and what is the rotation policy for appointment of auditors?
Okay, we'll come to that. We just hold that question for a minute, because we're still on the COSI audit, which is actually which is not an audit of our financials. It's an audit of our. It's essentially an audit of our controls as an organisation. So it's a governance audit, which was a step that we don't do these. We only do these quite irregular. This is the first time we've done one of these. We have to do a financial audit every year. That's so. This is it's a separate process. So I think your question is in relation to the financial audit. We will come to it in a minute. Just in relation to the COSI audit, I'm not hearing any questions. So. Okay, so we take the question then. Ruth, would you mind repeating the question then?
I think it's our current auditors, Whiteside and Cullinan.
How long have the auditors been doing that?
I'm not sure which person has that.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ruth. I'm not sure which person raised that question. I can't see it on screen, but what I will say is that Whiteside and Cullinan have been involved with Mountaineering Ireland for a good number of years, at least 6 to 7 years. However, during that period of time, there's been a change of ownership in the company, and new directors have come on, and the previous owners have retired actually from the company. So, albeit it's the same name, there's different owners and different directors involved in the company. When it comes to our financial policy for a rotation of auditors, I need to double check that, but I think it's every 3 to 4 years it needs to be reviewed. So the fact that there's been new owners within the same named company is something we look at in the future. And most NGBs do change their auditors over a period of time as well. I guess we felt we were okay in the sense that there's new owners and new directors in the company that we're working with. So for example, with Alan, we've only been working with him for the last number of years. So it's something that we will review on an ongoing process as well moving forward.
Anne-Marie from Glenwalk just asked there, do you have any plans to make a summary of the COVID audit findings and your response to it available to members?
There's no reason not to. Yeah, we could. Yeah, let's think about the best way to do that.
We have to close off the audit first.
Yeah, well, it'd be probably better off to close the audit with Sport Ireland first, and then maybe we can report back. As I do was, yeah. I mean, I suppose the key thing to mention. I mean, there was no, the audit didn't uncover anything untoward, or it was essentially they were failures of controls where we weren't exercising, where the auditors felt we weren't exercising sufficient controls. But we could certainly produce something. Not sure what the best format would be. Maybe we could post something on the website. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's think about it. Probably we could post something on the website. Would probably be the best, I think.
Yeah, there's just a follow-up chat there from Lungumpa's Club. It seems strange that we vote each year but are not made aware of how long the audit firm have been doing the accounts.
Yeah, that's a good question. We probably
need to come back to that, gentleman, with
a
firm answer on that as well.
There's a question in the room. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just a question. Did the COSI audit raise any issues around rotation of auditors? No?
The question was, did the COSI audit raise any questions about rotation of auditors? The answer is no, it didn't. But it's a reasonable, I think it is a reasonable question. Okay, so we've dealt with I think we've dealt with the COSI. So we maybe move the slide on route to the
appointment of auditors.
Okay, so there's some, I hear some with some reservations around the fact that the auditors have been in place for some time. But as I say, as the point from the room was made, it certainly wasn't raised by COSI as an issue. We don't know that. We think it's about 7 or so years, is it?
At least 6 to 7, at least 7 years, I'd imagine, the stage. But what I will say in the last 3 years has been a new change of ownership in the company. So we work with a new director, and who's the owner of the company. The previous owner retired, so it's a change of personnel. Albeit the name over the door hasn't changed, but the personnel we were linking with and working with, and that's a new relationship we're working with. For all intents and purposes, it's a new point of contact.
Would now be the time to make a decision as to tendering the audit next year?
The question from the room would now be time to make a decision regarding the tendering of the audit next year. Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that's a good idea. I think we probably should do that. Yeah, we're happy to take that on board, I think.
But for the purpose of 2022,
I think obviously we'd like to approve Whiteside Cullen for this year. I think it would be quite problematic, I think, if we didn't. But I think we'd certainly take the point that it probably should be tendered. Yeah.
Okay.
So with that proviso, I'll ask people to vote.
So show of hands. Okay, thank you. That's four for those against.
Anybody against?
Okay, thank you. One against.
One
okay.
against. Thank you.
Yeah, 84%, 89% have participated. It's exceeded the minute there.
Okay.
Okay, 89%. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thanks, Ruth.
Yeah, the results there, yeah.
So we can minute, I think, as well, that the AGM has asked that the auditors be retendered for next year. So we'll include that in the minutes. Okay, so the next thing then was the statement regarding safeguarding and anti-doping. You need to get rid of your poll there. And let's.
Okay, as just for this slide, which is our safeguarding statements, and the second slide, which is our anti-doping statements, it's a part of our compliance with our funding with Sport Ireland and with Sport NI as well. So this is just a statement that that regarding our safeguarding and with our anti-doping that we have written into the minutes as well. I'm not going to read them out paragraph by paragraph or bullet by bullet. They're there for everyone to see, and they've been circulated up to 3 weeks ago as well. So the first one refers solely to our safeguarding statement. Ruth, we might just leave that for another minute or so and then go to the anti-doping statement. And there is no vote on these statements.
Well, we are happy to take any questions that people want to raise.
Just while I'm reading the safeguarding statement as well, our current National Children's Officer is Jerry Gorman. He had planned to be here tonight. Unfortunately, he's taken ill late last week, and you know, a lot of people are taking ill at the moment for various reasons. And I'm sure you'll all join me wishing Jerry a speedy recovery to full health. COVID still has a huge reach into our communities and into our colleagues as well. So he had hoped to maybe attend online, but I can imagine he may not have felt up for it as well. Jerry's been our children's officer for a good number of years now, and he's recently taken on a new position in Dublin City Council, so his time is less available towards Mountaineering Ireland. So we will be contacting and advertising for any expressions of interest for anyone who takes on the role as a National Children's Officer in the future. And that'll be happening the next week or two as well. So that's something, if anyone has interest in that area, to please contact the office and we can take it further then.
Right. Can I just ask a question? What percentage of membership in Mountaineering Ireland is children or underage?
I can't give you the exact percentage number, but I know approximately about 400 people are aged under 18 within the organisation. So it's a small percentage out of 15,000. Club-wise, we have approximately 18 clubs that have youth sections in them as well. So out of just over 200 clubs, we have 18 who have a youth section with it. It's an area that we're growing and that we want to develop more. And as David mentioned in the chairperson's address, with sport climbing on the Olympic agenda, we want to maximise interest in this area as well. Ruth, can we go to the anti-doping statement, please? So again, here is another part of our commitment to WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency, and as how we support that. We will be looking to do more work with our clubs in this area, as indeed with safeguarding, and in the future it might be something that will be taken on board in a more formal capacity as well, and that's something we'll be looking at to be brought to the board for their attention, because these are areas we need to invest time and resources towards as well. So we have this statement, which is a standardized statement which we bring into our minutes of the AGM as well. So I think there's no vote on these.
Okay. Happy to take any questions. Sorry, just refer back to the COSI report. Just a point has just been made to me there. There was, just to be absolutely clear, maybe we should minute this as well. There was absolutely nothing in the COSI report that pointed to any financial issues. So just to be absolutely clear, the issues raised in COSI were governance issues. Obviously, they're important, but just for the record, just to make the point that there was absolutely nothing that pointed to any financial issues. So just really important to make that point. Thanks for the person who came in on the text.
And just to add to David's point as well, on an annualized basis, we get audited by Sport Ireland at least once a year, a financial audit, and similarly by Sport NI as well. And then we have our external auditors as well, and they're based on financial audits. So in any given year, we can have a minimum of 3 financial audits conducted on the organisation. And with the support of the Finance Committee, the FAR Committee and the Board, IFT and our auditors, we work hard to have a very high standard when it comes to our finances.
Okay. Okay, so we're coming to
nominations.
We're coming to the end. We have 3 nominations for election to the board as ordinary members. I'm going to first. You'll have obviously in the packs, you'll have seen the details of the three nominations. My first question, are we happy to take the three together? I'm proposing to take one vote on the three unless there are any objections to that.
Is there any raised hands, Ruth, online?
So the proposal is that we take one vote to cover the three nominations. I'm happy to do them individually if somebody prefers to do it that way. But I think if there's no objection, we just take a single vote.
There's no raised hands yet.
Yeah, thanks, Ruth. Okay. So then I think we maybe just go straight to a vote. Yeah.
Just a show of hands in the office here. So up high, please. That's 5.
1, 2, 2, 4,
6.
6.
Okay, 6. Thank you.
There's the suspense coming.
Start doing a countdown.
Okay. So we have 93% yes and 7% abstain and 6 votes in the room.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay. I think that it's no way out now, Dave. Okay. Yeah, but this will come to the end of our. Sorry, Vince.
Just maybe we're going to say, David, just maybe worth pointing out, the changeover in the board, and you just taken up the road, and probably I'm just an individual member, just to thank the board members that were there. And then we said before about the membership being such a strong part, or basically the main part of what Mountaineering Ireland is. And like a shout out, maybe it should be recorded in the minutes as well, formally, that there is a role for clubs to nominate, and it's really vital for the health of the organisation that clubs and individual members take that responsibility to nominate to the board. And I noted in the board pack that it was, the board had to nominate the new incoming board members, but really the clubs and the membership that basically own Mountaineering Ireland, and they need to see that, and they should be nominating.
Yeah. Thanks, Vince. Actually, on your first point, Maura has a final statement which covers the first point. On the second point, I agree with you fully. I think we need to do more to encourage our clubs to be more active. I think it hasn't helped that we've had 2 years without a spring or an autumn gathering. I think that's been a real damage to the organisation. It's a real negative. So I'm really optimistic that we get back to it in the autumn. There is an autumn gathering planned in Blessington. I can't remember the date, but it is
9th of October.
Yeah. So I think that's. But I think the point you make is that we need maybe to do more to encourage our clubs. The other point I would say as well, that we didn't receive a nomination for president. So what we need to, I suppose, engage with clubs further on that, and we would hope to maybe have an EGM at the autumn gathering to elect a president. The president obviously can't be co-opted; that needs to be elected. So I think, thanks, Vincent. That's a really good point. With that, then, that's a perfect cue. Maura, I'll hand back to you.
Thanks, David. Just to bring the AGM to an end, I'd like to say a few words of thanks. I would like to say thanks to the board members who have served the company over the past 12 months of 2021, which has been quite a challenging time, and to those who have moved on to new opportunities. To Trish Kane, Claire O'Connor and Paul Barron, who stepped down from the board after many years of service in February and March of 2021. Thank you all for your time and support to Mountaineering Ireland, particularly to Paul Barron for his many years of service as a board member and as chair of the board. It was much appreciated. To Kevin O'Callaghan, Paul Kelleher and Mike Munsall, all who stepped down from the board in October, can I wish you all the very best in your future with your busy careers and continued enjoyment on the hills. Thank you all very much for your service, particularly to Paul Kelleher, who was the president and also the National Children's Officer for many years, and to Mike Munsall, who was chair of the Access and Conservation Committee for a number of years and most recently the chair of the board. Thank you all for your time, professionalism and energy offered towards Mountaineering Ireland. To Imelda Buckley for her time, energy and focus over the past number of years, covering a number of new projects. She was the first chair of the Finance and Audit Risk Committee, a chair of the Strategic Planning Working Group, and as a board member, and more recently as vice chair of the board. Thank you very much, Imelda. To Jeff Thomas for his many years of service, including during 2021 as both chair of the Climbing Committee and also as chair of the board of directors. Thank you, Jeff, very much for your service. I would like to welcome Ricky Bell to the staff team as our new Youth Development Officer for Northern Ireland, who started work in June 2021. And to thank Damien O'Sullivan for his excellent service over 8 years and who was our climbing officer for many years, who moved on in December 21. I want to wish him all the very best in the future. I want to thank Jerry Gorman, our National Children's Officer, for his support and direction during 2021, to our subcommittees, Strategic Planning Working Group, to our members, to our volunteers, and to the amazing staff team we have, who all combined deliver an extremely high standard of work on behalf of Mountaineering Ireland. Thank you all very much for your contribution during 2021, and I'm looking forward to 2022. For me personally, it's been a pleasure to work with you over the years. Keep well and safe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all on the 7th of June at the Members Forum. Thank you and good night. Okay, that's us formally finished then. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Thanks, Imelda. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for your time and patience. I know the AGMs are formulaic and not always the most interesting